Welcome to the student reading for fall 2016. I just want you to know this is all about you. It's not about me, it's about you. Yeah, it's about you. And I love having this because this is where I started out when I started my career. And as an undergrad, we came to these things and we ate them up. And well, we did it. We were crazy. So you're not as crazy yet. You'll get there. But I'm glad that we had this forum for you to use your voices, to practice your craft, to practice your work, to put it out there, to let others see what's going on with you and what you're all about, be it poetry, fiction, drama, nonfiction slash creative nonfiction, or singing. You have all those options. Try dancing, but it's kind of not, it's kind of hard to dance up here and have the cameras look at you back and forth, when you do those backflips and splits. So we kind of took that off the grid. Um, I am Curtis L. Chrysler, professor of English, not professor of English, associate professor of English. I don't know why I say that. I haven't been upgraded yet. And this is all about you, like I said. I just want to give a few thanks before I have everyone come up because we have a full list and we have some alternates. And I want everybody to get their chance to do their thing. I'd like to thank the English department, English and Linguistics department for helping with this, the Indiana Chitlin Circuit, um, Office of COAS, IPFW. I'd like to thank Cable Access TV for being here, for doing this. I'd like to thank Cookie Cottage Cookies for giving us the crack cookies. So please partake in the cookies and the crackage and all that. That didn't sound right. And partake in the cookies. They're really good. That's why we call them crack cookies, because they're so good. They're addictive. So they're over there. So please partake in that. And we're just going to get right into it. Coming is Joseph Van Buren here? Joseph? Nope. Okay, so I'm just going to go down the list until I hit someone. Brittany Bressler, you want to start? Okay. Brittany will be here. Brittany Bressler, y'all. Give her a hand.
Hello, everyone. The piece I will be performing is from a play called Ourselves Alone by Anne Devlin. And the play is set in Ireland in the 1980s, post-hunger strike, and it follows three women who are struggling with relationships with men who are more dedicated to their political involvement than these women. And the character I will be portraying, his name is Donna. She has been married twice, and her first marriage did not work out very well. So she's married again, but once again, she feels like she's suffocating in this marriage with a man who doesn't really care about her. The devil's back. He was lying with his head on my pillow this morning. When I woke up, I recognized him immediately, even though it's been years. The first time I ever saw him, he was standing in the corner of the room. I could feel something watching me. I had the bedclothes tucked up almost to my nose, so I had to peer carefully around the room. And there he was. He seemed to grow out of the corner until he was towering over me. I panicked, so I felt I was suffocating. My first husband was with me at the time. He called a doctor. He said I had asthma. The funny thing was, I really didn't get over my asthma attacks until my husband was interned. And I haven't seen the devil since. Until this morning. Liam bent over and kissed me goodbye as he was leaving. The trouble was he blocked my mouth and I couldn't breathe through my nose, so I kept having to break away from him. When he'd gone, I closed my eyes and tried to get some sleep before the child woke. That was when I heard the door open. I thought Liam had come back, so I opened my eyes and there he was. The devil. If he had any hair at all, it was red. He climbed on top of the bed and put his head on the pillow next to me. I felt so sick at the sight of him, so I knew I didn't have the strength to struggle anymore. I said, please, leave me alone. I was very surprised when he replied. He's never spoken to me before. He said, very quietly, "All right, Donna." And do you know, he vanished. But I don't believe he's really gone. He never really goes away. Thank you.
All right, another round of applause for Brittany, y'all. Thank you. That was beautiful. Okay, did Joseph make it in? All right, so we're going to have Joseph Van Buren coming to the mic.
All right. Sorry for the delay. I just got out of class. But- All right. This first poem is called She. I actually got an honorable mention at for the Writer's Digest rhyming category of the Writers Competition this year. And it's dedicated to that beautiful woman that just made it here just barely like I did. Life is suffering, the Buddhists say. She is my nirvana trance-like state. So much violence happens every day. She is how I learn to transcend hate. Green eyes staring, envious with greed. She's the red of passion in my heart. Such chaotic drama shall proceed. She will be the calmness I impart. Time is ticking, this I realize. She from which I drink to keep my youth. Government and media, the lies. She is all I need to know, the truth. Let it come, the end of this whole world. She is my forever. Love you, girl. Thank you. Thank you. This one's called American Dream. I wrote this one in my creative writing class here this semester. 203, whoop whoop. This is my first attempt at a villanelle. And every underdog will have its day. All the Rockies, all the Cinderellas. To vanish in the smoke and fade away would tarnish all the ghosts have had to say. Spirits of the natives, they will tell us that every underdog will have its day. The communists and terrorists, they pray all of us from Golden Gate to Ellis will vanish in their smoke and fade away. Receipts display our savings, not dismay over snake repellent that they sell us. For every dirty dog will have its day in court. They hop the hoops and holes and pay well to banish books to reds and yellows. Lies vanish in the smoke and fade away. Our sleepless nights, the dream it does betray when our waking lives do not propel us. Yes, every underdog will have its day to vanish in the smoke and fade away. Thanks. Just a little more. These are actually lyrics from a song I wrote years ago that sadly still fit today. I used to do a lot of political stuff, write songs, like I called it revolutionary, whatever. I kind of gave up on it for a while, but something happened last Tuesday that made me want to pick it back up. This is called Point of No Return. It's the point of no return like a broken hymen. We can only see the truth through open eyelids. The world that we live in can be cold and violent, so they try to sell us distractions, gold and silence. We're slaves to a system of capitalism that keeps free people in a financial prison, and corporate overlords obscure our vision, and seeing is believing, so people just give in. The planet's enraged, man-made climate change, disaster backdrop for the final stage. Debates rage, but no answers in the exchange, like our own intelligence is a spiritual cage. And now anxiety is the new religion. Through medication, our souls can be forgiven. They want the media to influence our opinions as if heaven can be found in the television. They made your personality a statistic and put us in categories based on linguistics and skin tone. Even though that's just a mix of hormones, now it means something to political war zones. Real people problems have no face or color, except for the red from bloodshed when we kill each other. And we all getting sick of being treated like a sucker in a system that only helps the rich bloodsuckers. The US government is so corrupted, they hand me a Bill of Rights, turn around and abduct it if I don't pay enough taxes or kiss enough asses. I thought the middle class was the masses. Now there's upper and lower, another rung on the ladder. We keep climbing higher to make our pockets fatter, but our cities be losing jobs all the damn time and they wonder why poor people turn to crime. It's the point of no return, looking over the ledge. Hope you can fly, cause we've been pushed over the edge. I'm in the sky like an angel scoping the feds, hoping instead we can leave the system broken and dead. It's the point of no return from the way that we live, until we realize the danger of the days that we in. Is your God listening? You better pray that he is, or put faith in yourself to fix the fate of your kids. Thank you.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, now it's getting warm in here. All right. Okay, another hand for Joseph. Thank you, Matt. Coming to the stage, Gloria Diaz.
Hello, I'm Gloria Diaz, and I'm a grad student here. And what I'll be reading you today is an excerpt from my thesis project. I finished writing my first novel last September, and I went to a writing conference in California, and I had 6 agents interested in the novel I'd written, but unfortunately it wasn't what I had pitched. So in order to remedy that, I asked if I could use that novel as my thesis project. So I'm taking a 490-page novel and rewriting it so it's humorous erotic fiction. So what I will be reading to you today is part of chapter 2 from Spanked, which involves some sexy time between Connie, my protagonist, and her soon-to-be ex-boyfriend Trevor. Did I just sit in something gross? I turned around, but didn't touch the sheets. Well, these sweats would have to go into the wash when I got home. Cat hair was one thing, but jizz was another. Trevor thumped back up the stairs. He tore off the sheets, and I helped him put on the fresh ones. He lit the candles on the desk near the foot of the bed and turned off the light. "You know what I want," he whispered. I let him tie my wrists to the bedpost. The bed was a hand-me-down, a king-size wood frame that was a bit wobbly. Having sex in it felt like every scene in every movie where the couple getting it on was dead broke or trash. The sex itself was pretty much the same thing, every time. I was on the bottom, he was on the top. He always rubbed me too hard. The only part of my body he actually touched was between my legs. His technique made my body feel like a porta potty. He touched me as little as possible in order to keep the germs at bay. I tried telling him repeatedly what I wanted, but his response was, "That doesn't excite me." I was supposed to be okay with having a threesome with him. Had I known more about these things, I would have been a smart ass and said, sure, as long as I could pick the other guy. Every so often he'd ask, and every so often I'd say no. He was inadequate with one woman. Why did he think 2 of them should suffer? I heard a soft thump and turned my head to see Libby sneak in. Trevor was busy shoving away at me, but I noticed the pillow had slipped. My head was hitting the headboard in triple time. I felt like I was being jackhammered into the wall. The sound he made was a cross between a squeaking and a thumping. For one wild moment, I thought of the Big Bang Theory and Sheldon knocking on Penny's door. Squeak, knock, squeak, knock, squeak, knock, times infinity at 24,000 RPM. Could you adjust the pillow? I'm getting a headache. Trevor just thrust harder. I could tell he was almost there. Sometimes I could finish him off by talking. I started in with my submissive whispered patter that made him feel manly. He was almost there when thunk. Ow! Ow! "Oh shit," said Trevor. "The bed fell on the cat." Ow! Trevor leapt off the bed and grabbed the bottom edge of the frame. He struggled to get a grip, then managed to raise it higher. Meanwhile, I was still tied to the post, the circulation cut off in my left hand, which was still bound to the post, as was my right hand. My lower body suddenly flipped towards the wall at a 45-degree angle. Was this how Jesus fell on the cross? Because this is damned uncomfortable. Can you see Libby? I yelled. Yes, but I think her leg is broken. Trevor just managed to balance the frame of the bed on one shoulder while he lifted up Libby, who was still yowling like, well, a cat who had had a bed with two fat people collapse on her. He tucked her under his right arm, then used his left shoulder and right hand to ease the bed down. Trevor wasn't the strongest guy. He meant to be gentle, but plunk! I was now facing the ceiling once more. My hands felt like they were going to be pulled off. I've got to get her to the vet. Untie me first, goddammit! He laid Libby on the bed, who continued her shrieking. Trevor leaned over Libby, a normally docile, long-haired white cat like it was his own child. Well, there's no blood, but untie me now, goddammit! Finally, Trevor got around to me. He untied my wrists. I couldn't feel my hands. I heard him clump downstairs. Libby was now hissing and making some sort of moaning noise, like her intestines were being hoovered out mouth first, or maybe ass first. Trevor was back upstairs again with the cat carrier. Libby was now howling. Trevor picked her up, and she promptly sunk her teeth into Trevor's hand. Ow! Libby bit me! He managed to shove Libby into the carrier and then latched the door. Trevor went into the bathroom to wash his hands. I sat there naked, level with the floor, trying to mumble comforting things to Libby, who retreated to the corner of the carrier, a big, white, furry ball of hurt. Trevor came back into the bedroom and threw his clothes on and grabbed socks and shoes. I've never seen anyone get dressed so fast before. I'm taking her to the vet, he gasped. He grabbed the carrier and took off down the stairs. His "see you around" echoed in the upstairs hallway. I heard his uneven galumphing on his way to the first floor. Libertarian wasn't a small cat, and bringing 18 pounds of pissed-off feline down a flight of stairs, even in a carrier, was enough to throw one's balance off. I didn't want to put my clothes back on. I took a shower. True to form, there wasn't any soap to speak of in the bathroom, with a tiny trickle of lukewarm water. I pulled my sweatshirt and sweatpants on over my racy lingerie and made sure to lock the front door on my way out. I planned to give some excuse to Trevor in order to get out of there early enough to go and work out, but I guess a squashed cat was a good enough reason. Thanks, Libby. Hope you get well soon.
All right, another hand for Gloria, y'all. Oh, we're just going all over the place. We're hitting everything. Sex, comedy, the social situation. Oh, yeah. All right, coming to the stage, Erica Eisenman.
I'm a bit underprepared because I'm not very good at making commitments, but I'm here. So it's good to see y'all. My first one is a poem by Mary Oliver called The Summer's Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is looking around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down in the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? This next one is one that I wrote, and it's kind of going off of a Bible verse, actually, that talks about if something causes you to sin, you should cut it off, which is a bit of a metaphor saying that if something is hurting you, if something is causing you to go against yourself, then why are you keeping it around? Things a good smoke will tell you. Don't play with carbolic acid, kids, said the man with no fingers shambling on the Detroit street corner. It will burn away, but leave what you have touched. The dogs left Jezebel's hands, wouldn't eat 'em. He has only the phantom feeling of shaking hands with a peach tree street flavored devil. Devil's hands are smooth like the David is smooth chested, soft like Giovanni's silk Venus. My hand was slapped once for saying ask carelessly, slapped by an amused fuckboy policing the church kid. If you can't be a nun, you can't be a nun if you pronounce ask wrong. You can't have smooth hands if you touch toilet bowl cleaner. You can't have your virginity and let dogs eat it too. Sir, please snap my hand in half between the ring and index finger. Feel them, the joints like peanuts inside peanut brittle, skin that tastes metallic. Give me fewer sin makers, 3, like E.T., and see if I am holier then. Thank you.
See, that's a trick that poets and writers do to say they're not prepared and then they blow it up like that. Thank you, Erica. All right, is Dakota here? Dakota? No. Okay, Ashley, Hoggard, Lily.
Hi, I just want to do a quick disclaimer that I shake all the time, so if I seem like I'm shaking a ton, that's why. So, but I actually like speaking in front of people. That's changed a lot. I have like so many poems that I could read, and I'm in class with Curtis now. And there's a one of our projects is that we're supposed to collaborate with a group and write a poem, or either write a poem or read a poem, and my group decided to write one. So this is how, I've had like several iterations and several drafts of it, but this is the one that I'm most likely going to use for that, and this is just my part, and it's not quite done, but that's okay. Okay, so the title is Deadly Halloween, and I wrote it on Halloween. And the title for the class is called This Is My Battle. Okay, 1999. Only 6, but adult worries of Y2K still reached. Covered ears, dressed as a modest ballerina to cover my legs from leering eyes, strangers' eyes. Little did I know, in 6 short years, that the pervert standing next to me, the boy I called brother, 2016. The night before Halloween, I am no longer a teen, but a new wife shopping on Sunday, pausing to read a tear-off sheet with a teal pumpkin sticker. Realizing that the stranger danger of my childhood has given way to a fear of nuts and gluten. Family and friends who disguise themselves as sweet friends before bearing vicious weapons to use against the most defenseless, our children. This one is another draft for that same poem that I essentially had to toss for that specific purpose because it was way too long. And this is part 1, so I'm not even halfway done with it. Okay, it's called I Fought So That You Didn't Have To. While you were at home, fucking everything that moved, I was already on the battlefield that you thrust me onto. Fighting with the crouched silhouette that stood on my chest at night, breathing nightmares into my body, you sucked the joy from my life. Like a bottom feeder, you opened my mouth greedily, forcing glue down my throat. Angrily, you tried to force control. The only thing that you forced was me to throw up your precious juices onto that blue and burgundy plaid comforter, then on the grayed out carpet. I learned guerrilla warfare from you. Though, 53 months and 4 days younger, I was nimble and strong and smarter. I learned to never swallow, taking lessons from those ghost hamsters who stored food in their cheeks, pushing it out when it was safe. The toilet was my safety. Every pound of muscle in my body flew into action at the slightest quiver of sound from outside. We lived in a blue house, walls chalky, turning the outside of the house to the stormy color of my eyes flashing defiant. I spit out my cheekful, gargling on warm water to get the taste of city water, presumably laced with fluoride, to cover the taste reminiscent of dirty dishwasher smells. To this day, I cannot bear the taste of cotton against my teeth, reflexively gagging so hard that stomach bile burned the taste that lingered in my throat. And today, I am blissfully unaware of whether my body is having a memory or I just need to pop a smooth antacid knockoff. The ritual of washing you away continues to haunt me to this day. Today I get naked in the bedroom, or for a moment return to another, safer home. That creepy house with eyes that wept in every season along with me. I cover the cleaner, clearer eyes of my little abode and then dare to walk naked to the locked front door, reminding myself I am safe.
Another round of applause for Ashley. All right. Woo! Okay, we're going there, so we might as well go for a bore. All right, Emily Beard, coming to the stage.
Downstairs. He was asleep in the basement, so I crept into the room, stood on my brown toes, and tucked the rope into the movable ceiling tiles. I left a rope hanging with 13 loops to make a slip knot into a noose. So when he woke up, the rope would swing from the ceiling and he could see how smart I was becoming. I hovered around the basement, excited that he would want to take me fishing with him, now that I could tie my own tackle and maybe when he left again, I would be able to come. But the house became quiet. And he woke up, and the silence rolled up the stairs into the hallway around me in my room. Never do that again. His eyes were round and watery, and I did not understand why he just walked away. In that moment, a shame latched itself onto the silence, but I still did not understand. Years later, I was reading a story about a family forced to move from their home because at night, marching white men hid their faces with even whiter cloth and hung nooses from the tree in their front yard. I cried for my father and for the heart of a little girl. How can you know where you come from if your father's voice is mute, if the place you live is washed over, and no one warns you of the differences between tones of skin and how people will treat you before it becomes too late? Mixed. 1. White men reside in my mouth. The blackness is stuck in my throat. I escape mirrors and hairdressers, tugging hats over nappy roots, invisible to assumed privileges. I tell myself I do not see color. I only see the human. Then I see her, Sandra Brown, being roughed up by a man, being bullied by a law hero, being thrown down by a white cop. I cannot see them as just humans. I cannot believe they are two people who just had a misunderstanding. I see what it means to be black. I feel what it is to be a woman. I know what it is to be hated. I cannot ignore, I cannot undo, I cannot help, and she is dead, and the babies in the Alabama church are dead, and my silence is their death. 2. Is you mixed? The man on Pennsylvania Street wants to know. He follows me half a block to my car and offers favors for cigarettes while he tells me we're soulmates. 3. My roommate does not understand my hair. I have it out because I am at home. The curls are fluffed out, and she says she likes my afro, but still tells me that I'm not really black. I do not ask why because I'm tired of everyone saying I talk white. I'm exhausted from explaining that I do not go to a tanning bed. I've heard too many times that someone's not racist, but you're not really black, my roommate tells me again when I mention the joke she's saying offends me. 4. Even my own grandpa told my mother I would come out like a zebra. It should not matter, because he is dead now, and society is no longer racist. Rape culture. Voices cannot sound under clamps. When foreign fingers take out your tongue, croaking groans to a covered, stitched-up mouth. How do you fight back the knowing of an obtuse body when your nose have always been a suggestion, dissected later in the dark when you cannot remember the name, just the smell of sweaty bodies, the new motion of insides trembling? Who can you tell that will not ask, what did you do? How did you fight back?
This is why I love this. Another round of applause for Emily. Helena? Is Helena here? Oh, okay. So you're going to be reading twice? So you are. Okay, so this is for Helena C. Smith, and we're having Kiefer May read that.
This is a cold read, everyone. Please be kind. From what I can tell, this is a work of creative nonfiction. So, can you say it with a straight face, leaders of the free world? I didn't mean to write a political text. I was just reading some articles from other places that face challenges in keeping their liberal arts programs. I meant to talk about how stories repeat themselves wherever they were, not take a position on a political matter that may not affect my stay in the U.S. at all. Unfortunately, when you take a position, everything you do is political, even when your position is to be apolitical. I don't mean to solely address the recent tragedy in which the country shot its own foot, nor whatever specific situation we may be here at IPFW, but to express my concern that these events are in fact related, and sadly, just a sign of a deeper, much wider corrosion. You know, I'm not from Fort Wayne. In fact, I'm not even from this country. Sometimes, more than I believe to be socially acceptable, I don't even like this country. So I think some people may wonder what right or position I think I have or I am to talk about how things are around here. It is true, I'll be gone before President Trump's time in office is halfway through. I'll be gone by the time they start cutting English and communications courses into more vocational majors. I'll be gone when Trump tries to sue Saturday Night Live for defamation, or will it be BBC News? Either way, I won't be here to see those changes. I'll be 5,293 miles away. But this is America, and I can't just pretend what happens here stays here. When I sat down to write this, I meant to reflect on the importance of humanities to society, in particular, the famously underestimated liberal arts. To me, it is very clear that liberal arts are important. I'm an English major. I gave up on free public education on that same subject back in Brazil in order to learn from the world's English-speaking sole superpower, the U.S. I came here because they, meaning you, managed to create those concentrations within the English major, completely unknown to anyone back home, literally foreign concepts. At most, we'd have 2 or 3 English writing classes for the whole major, and the first 2 years are taught in Portuguese with students from German, French, and Italian. It is great that we get to know people from other areas. But to me, an English major should know enough English to go through the 4 years of an English major taught in English. Furthermore, as a young aspiring author, I thought the art of writing required more than just a couple classes to be learned and understood. I thought it was more important. I thought the U.S. agreed, so I came here. However, since I got here, the chorus that was broadcasted on overtly Americanized TV shows, the overtly patriotic American movies, and even our strongly biased history classes had changed. From the call for investment on new, on revolutionary, and on dreams, it had regressed into its mother, a country worried with stability in the workforce and international appearances. Limits had been imposed on the land of dreams. A nation that helped defeat Hitler seemed scared to invest on creative, no, critical even thought. It is like critical thinking has become scary or obsolete. Most times, I'm not sure which. Maybe both. People seem scared to question their reality. Like if they find a problem, the whole thing will crumble. It is easy to avoid problems when you don't think about them or don't even recognize that they exist. At the moment, people are allowed to just yell the things they hear from the media or particularly read on dubious Facebook news posts and call that arguing. Critical thinking and rhetoric are slowly being overlooked and replaced by childish bickering. Just look at your presidential campaign. I learned through liberal arts that critical thinking and the understanding of rhetoric are essential to political action, so being taught that those things aren't relevant seems extremely patronizing to me. We should, then, all know how it feels like to be treated like women before the 60s. You don't need to understand it, dear. Just sit there and look pretty while the suits do their thing. I could be wrong, but William Dureski wrote a book on that. It's called Excellent Sheep. I read about it on an article on Dartmouth News. It talked about his upcoming lecture on politics, privilege, and the humanities. In his TEDx talk, he argued for a correlation between rising tuition and the decline of spending on higher education dating back to the 1970s. This correlation drives students away from the liberal arts, particularly humanities, since they're perceived as unworthy of student debt. However, the skills learned in humanities, such as critical thinking, creativity, and self-reflection, are foundational to a functioning democratic society. I agree. This vocational path into which America's fear of unemployment is driving higher education is much scarier than unemployment itself. This blazes the trail for creating an accommodated, quiet, and complying herd of sheep, which can be easily stripped of its political liberties. Liberal arts, in their own name, allows the exercise of liberty. As much as I want to do it, I can't blame Trump for this situation, or Mike Pence, or even Marco Rubio, who said that America needed more welders and less philosophers. This change runs deeper than America's political leaders. In fact, these leaders are just a representation of common values and beliefs to a majority of those who exercise their political liberties. I would stop here since I can't exercise some of those political liberties myself, namely government involvement. I should not criticize those that actually do. But these values don't stop where passports are needed to proceed. These American values are going to permeate and spread through the famous all-American exports. The overtly Americanized TV shows, the overtly patriotic American movies, and even strongly biased history classes 5,293 miles away. If you think this problem only affects the inside of America, then you must brush up on your perception of international superpowers. With great power comes great responsibilities, namely, whatever the U.S., and I do mean you, preach is democratic will be understood as common sense. If the U.S. says liberal arts don't matter, other countries will follow suit. I may not be here to see what Trump television broadcasts as the sole news station in the future, or what he does to domestic policies regarding Muslims, or even follow up on what his appointed Supreme Court judges make out of America's current values. but I will see the effect it will have on my own country's effort to reach the American dream. And I'd like to keep our already limited liberal arts courses because God knows Brazil needs some brushing up on its democracy. If you take nothing from what I just said, please take the feeling of sorrow that I want to transmit. The mourning for a once great country that chased dreams and fought the forces that threatened to limit those dreams. The loss of an ideal that once rang in resemblance with those famous French revolutionaries who decided monarchy sucked. But most importantly, the disillusion with an international self-proclaimed leader who thinks to bear the weight of spreading democracy while discouraging the education which makes that very democracy possible.
I just want to say two things about that. One, Kiefer, thank you for reading that for Helena. Um, I really like that. I really dig that because, again, you're hearing voices from a lot of times as faculty member, we're not hearing student voices. And my whole thing in being a faculty member is for you to get your voice and to project your voice out there. So the second thing is that I feel I always feel my classrooms are safe spaces. Race, creed, sexual orientation, whatever it may be, that's all taken care of there, and we can deal with that. But I feel sad that Helena couldn't have read that herself. And that's her because that's her voice. I'm glad we got to hear it, and I'm glad you read that for us. And like you said, that was a cold read. But I feel sad that she couldn't represent herself for whatever reason she felt someone looking at her differently or whatever. And I think this is why these readings are really important for you all because they're your voice. And if people aren't hearing it, how are they going to know? So keep bringing it. Just keep bringing it. Next is Lydia Waring here? Lydia? Okay. Lydia Waring to the mic.
This room feels really heavy now. so, um, so even though it's kind of bleak in America right now, I have a poem that I wrote for W203 as well. And it kind of talks about a tiny little town in Colorado that truly changed my life. So here's something a little more positive to pick us all back up again. But okay, it's called Pitkin. Over a year ago, you saw at last that tiny titular patch of cabins and dirt roads where you candidly felt the quiet, the kind that cradles your searing thoughts and cuts out the demands calling from your pocket, so small but deafening. Mountains envelop this grid town and stretch for the blue above, encouraging your imitation. No resident goes without such inspiration in their lives, always kept safe by strong arms. The perspective from atop a small pine provides you a complete portrait of this place. You can't hide, but then again, why would you want to obstruct each and every angle to be found? The postcard was made here. 9,242 feet high, 66 people reside. The small family of wooden houses gets along. They all look alike, but none of them the same. There's not a hybrid car to be found. They go extinct at this altitude. Four-wheel drive is the only way. Around the dirt roads, the abandoned mines. Only one pump at the fuel station, but a porch full of customers, rocking in chairs and eating ice cream. They prattle about cloud shapes, mud-covered, flannel-clad, and wind-burnt. You join their ritual and marvel for the echoes of worn boots on floorboards. Awaiting the arrival of Ladd, Wayne, and Eastwood, the Old West has found you. Dawn is creeping before you while your loved ones remain asleep. The sun climbs over the peaks that wear the fog like a shawl. Hear the trees sever the early wind. Twigs snap as animals move without fear of interruption. Birds mistake your limbs for branches without hesitation. And that mug of Folgers tastes like the greatest thing in creation. Your watch runs slower, the clouds roll faster. A place this small shows you how large you can be. You're not shy here, you're stoic. You're not plain, you're practical. You're not stressed, you're thoughtful. For the first time, the storm is beneath you, breathing deeply as your cowardice chokes on thin air. So that was Pitkin. And then I have a second poem. I grew up on a farm, and I just felt like, although a great portion of this country is still covered in farmland, especially this state, is nothing but corn. Soybeans. I decided I wanted to write a poem that kind of reaches for the drama that can be found in the farm life. And maybe some of you know about this one task that happens on a lot of farms. It's like baling hay. So I wrote a poem that's all about baling hay, and it's brutal and boring, so I tried to make it interesting. And this is a villanelle, and it was my first attempt at a villanelle. And it's called Farm All. Use your strength to stack them high, though patience is wearing thin. The bale is small but dense and rough, it doesn't care about your pain. Ignore the sting as salt and sweat invade your freshly opened skin. The rain will come tomorrow, leaving only today to get them in. Lugging weight and keeping balance is only half the strain. Use your strength to stack them high, though patience is wearing thin. The wagon creaks, you nervously check, knowing where all it's been. You've been at this for hours, and 5 acres still remain. Ignore the sting as salt and sweat invade your freshly opened skin. The tractor is deafening as its massive wheels spin. 50, 60, or 70 pounds, no two bales the same. Use your strength to stack them high, though patience is wearing thin. Gasp for breath to fill your lungs, but dust and exhaust you'll find within. The twine snaps, a bale bursts, composure is more than you can feign. Ignore the sting as salt and sweat invade your freshly opened skin. The sun beats down, you're burning in hell, but don't know your sins. Generations of farmers found in the blood that fills your pulsing veins. Use your strength to stack them high, though patience is wearing thin. Ignore the sting as salt and sweat invade your freshly opened skin.
All right, another round of applause for Lydia. And it doesn't matter where we're from, it all matters. Okay, coming back to the stage, Kiefer May.
Sorry guys, you gotta stare at me again. This one I actually wrote, so it's a piece of fiction. I call it Teachers in Bulletproof Vests. Mr. Marshall? Yes. He's peering at the laminated name tag clipped to the front pocket of my blue plaid shirt. Are you following? He stands up, reverting to folded arms that strain against his large chest in the Navy uniform and matching flak jacket. I sure am, sir. Assess, alert, attack, move. Can't help but grin at the sound, so close to that of the universe. What a mantra. This is not a joke, Mr. Marshall. This is your life, the life of your kids. If you fail to take this seriously, if you choke when the time comes, then your kids will too. They follow you. They will stumble. If they stumble, then people will die in an active threat situation. He is boring through me with gray eyes, close to the color of the salt and pepper stubble of his face. I can remember the feeling of this look. He is my dad, having found out about the beers that Janice and I had bought off of her older brother. Military brass doesn't mind telling you to shut your fucking mouth and leave your teeth in your head, or else he'll help you lose them. Clean the fucking kitchen and mind your own damn business, or I'll smack you harder than I hit your mama. But Dad's eyes were roasted almond, and his nostrils would flare to gather as as much oxygen as the room could spare. Yes, sir. I know how to answer my dad, and I know how to answer him. Clench your teeth into a grimace and let him talk. He'll forget about me. Just agree. He always wears himself out. The key is to just avoid getting in the way. Let him explode at someone or something else. It's active threat now. It's not active shooter. Because of bombs and plans and all other means of hand-to-hand combat. As Mr. Marshall managed to pick up, that is what you need to do. Assess, alert, attack, and move. He takes a beat to uncross his arms and loosens up a little, feigning a smile. Look, I get it, he says as he turns back to meet my eyes. You think it'll never happen here. You have good kids. They would never do this. You know them. I'm telling you what, I've got a story for you. Does anyone know where Anderson High School is? We all seem to nod. Some are more confident than others. Most of them are more confident than me. Okay. Does anyone remember what happened a few years back? Does anyone already know this story? Looking, and I see a few vague bows of the head. Okay, Mrs. Perry, what happened? Oh, I don't know. I just remember hearing vague rumors about something happening in Anderson. Yeah, I could see it. She was standing at the microwave in the all-white break room during her lunch period, and I can see Principal Baxter muttering to someone, hushed. He would say something about, thank Lordy that didn't happen here. Everyone would agree, and we'd be shocked. All in little old Indiana. Okay, just rumors. Anyone know what really happened? He scowls and waits for someone to offer something. Anything. Well, so it's been 3 years now. 3 boys, 2 seniors, and a junior. They had plans to shoot up the school. They had gotten 2 assault rifles, a deer rifle, 3 handguns, and a plethora of knives, and they had even made some explosives from black powder. They had gotten some of the guns with help from one of the boys' older brothers and stolen the rest from family members. They had even held group target practices and had an itinerary that was found for how the day would go, ending in a group suicide. This was going to be Columbine, but maybe even worse. The youngest was going to climb the fire escape. He was going to perch on top of the building, picking people off as they came out of the main entrance. He was the best shot, after all. When he saw the police come, he was going to throw an explosive, and the boys would know to shoot themselves through the roof of their mouth with their handguns. But the youngest got cold feet. He called the administration and stayed home that day. The principal had called the local police force, and the 2 boys were taken peacefully from the one boy's SUV with a stash of weapons and 3 copies of their plans typed up. I can see them loading clips and taking guns from closets. They unlock cabinets with keys that parents or grandparents keep hidden on top of other cabinets in the kitchen. They shoot at sheets of cardboard that have stickers of bad guys or Democrats or deer clinging to the sides. They aim at heads. They aim at parts in bleached hair or split ends of brunette craniums. They shoot for mohawks or shaved heads that were caused by dares. I can see the young one sitting on top of the roof waiting for the blue and red to come wailing. I'm waiting with him. I am waiting for them to come so we can give the signal. I throw a piece together black powder bomb near the front doors, and then I remove the semi-automatic .38 Special from my belt, the same .38 Special that my grandpa had taught me how to shoot handguns with, so that I can end this thing that we started. This is not a joke, Mr. Marshall. I know this is scary, but this can happen here. You all should know that and be prepared. That is why we're here, to make sure you know what to do in a situation like this. How to not clam up under the pressure when you have a whole room of teenagers counting on you to pull through. Schools always seem to have a policy that you just lock the door and wait, but that is not enough. I'm sure that's your policy now. What if the kid or kids blow the door down, or what if one of them is already in your room and that's when the attack begins? Do you just cower and let them take you and your kids out, or do you find some way to neutralize the threat and escape? This is why we're here. This is why we have made these packets for you. This is why we will be having that drill next month with all the actors and all the fake blood, preparation and thoroughness. A pin wouldn't drop through this silence. So back to where we were, huh? I know that you don't get funding for much, but I'm hoping that the administration will talk to the school board and renegotiate. We need every classroom to have a first aid kit. Yeah, that's important, but we can't afford to just have the basics. We need every classroom to have at least one tourniquet, and every teacher should know how to use it effectively. If a bullet or piece of shrapnel hits a major artery, then you or your student can be done in no time. I don't care how you get one, if you make one at home somehow, whatever. Every teacher needs to have one and know how to use it easily and efficiently. If you really want to be prepared, and I know this will probably come out of your own pocket unless something changes drastically and very quickly, every teacher and member of the faculty should really own a bulletproof vest. This would be the easiest way to make sure that you have some protection of your vitals and help you to make bold decisions when the time comes that you are in a situation like this. And here I am thinking, breaking trigger fingers, dislocating shoulders, wearing a bulletproof vest bought with my personal savings account, tying tourniquets, and trying to teach Hamlet.
Another hand for Kiefer. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that day where I have to start accessorizing a bulletproof vest. Because, everyone can have guns. Megan Hines? Is Megan here? Megan? Megan Hines to the stage.
Hello. I'll be reading a poem I did in 203. Seemed like my class liked it, so I hope you guys like it. The poem we had to do was we had to pick a line from another poem and you incorporate it in our own. So the line I used was "My head is bloody but unbowed" by William Ernest Henley and Invictus the Unconquerable, and my poem is called "Female Unbowed." You cried gilded tears into my birth. From the moment I was born, my head was bloody. You raised me under trapdoors and damsel towers, holding me with male discrepancies, but unbowed. You color me blue with a ring, taking me away from what is rightfully yours, that is also what's mine, not mine to walk for myself like a two-legged person with a bloody, unbowed head. You look like Skyron forced you to wash his feet and has thrown you over, my bloody head raised. Corset lips undone, with unmanly words running freely with filly fumbles. Are you listening? Can you hear my mind from my mouth? You can see the ring ripped off my finger and the blue turning an ugly female gold. Look at me, unbowed before you. I can stand with two legs just like you. I can think with a mind of my own. I speak with intelligent words. I kick a powerless female kick to your so-called manly pride with my imperfect one. I'm keeping the dress along with your pants, your mind, your feet, your mouth, and sewing them to my beautiful body, bloody and unbowed. No, I don't hate you, want to be you, feminize you. I don't want your body, your head, your pride. I have mine, with my head still bloody but still unbowed.
Another hand for Megan. Yeah. Okay. Is Christopher Clark here? All right, Christopher Clark to the mic.
I've never really written poetry before, but I did it, so here we go.
That's how I start.
This is about somebody that I love very much. You bring out the best in me. It's that suit and tie, responsibility is key in me. It's that strength to pull the sheets off and get my ass out of bed in me. Go to work, go to school, go to sleep in me. You bring out every constellation in the sky with a blanket and a cop car does not matter in me. It's like that Christmas morning, snow on the ground, milk and cookies are gone, I love you in me. But you bring out the worst in me. No suit and ties, point directly at a stranger, whether I like it or not in me. It's that relationship wannabe, want to be in me. I got that pencil in my pocket, ready to take that test. Goddamn awful test taker in me. It's that no, man, I can't hang out. I'm busy tonight in me. I'm not going to sleep yet. Poor man is poor in me. I can't afford shit, but I buy you all of it in me. And it's the best, it's the worst, and you bring out the me in me. It's like the stupid SpongeBob swear words like a dolphin in me. It's the actually proud of myself, you did a good job in me. Still going to point directly at that stranger and be the fat fuck that I know I am in me. I consider myself richer than rich, but I have no money. And at the end of the day, I have absolutely nothing to show but you in me. You are a part of me, and if you haven't figured it out yet, it is you and me. Thank you. All right, this next one's a little shorter. It's about a small town that I lived in that grows corn. The corn will continue to grow from the bottom to the top. But like most things, the corn will rot from the top to the bottom. The deer will live, but before long, they're stuck. Their eyes in the headlights. They're trapped. Sure, their legs can move, but they stay bolted to the cement like a goddamn curly slide at the elementary school, back where Matthew smoked his first blunt. Unlike the slide, the deer will not rust, but the lights will shine brighter and brighter until the life has passed faster than that oncoming car, with nothing left to show but a dead carcass and some disappointed souls. Thank you. And I'm going to read one more for you. It's called Dead Air. It's so quiet. It's so loud. It is so quiet that it is loud. It's so loud that it hurts. And it's that kind of pain that gets straight to your head. The kind of pain that makes you think. It makes you think what could be and what could have been. The kind of pain that makes you think what we are, who we are, and what the hell happens from here. And at the end of the day, you're left with that horrible, horrible sound, and it's silence. Now, silence, it's that ringing in your ear. And silence never really sounded so bad, right? You used to hope and hope and hope for just a little peace and quiet. You'd wonder when the noise would go away. But that silence comes when you ask. Believe me, that silence comes at the snap of your goddamn finger. And it's really not as peaceful as you thought it would be. No. Maybe peace isn't what you thought, and maybe peace isn't peace at all. I think peace is more. Peace is more than that open closet door or that voice on the other side of the fucking wall. Peace is more. Peace is him, and peace is her, and peace is them. Peace is so much more. Thank you.
Okay, another hand for Christopher. Thank you, man. And this will be our last person today, Brian Johnson. You're not going to? You sure? Oh, come on, Brian. You sure? All right. Brian. Now we're going to, yeah, okay. Brian. You want it with a hip hop beat? Brian. No? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, anyway, thank you all for coming. This has been a great Tuesday afternoon. I really appreciate you all sharing your voices with us. And I wish I could do this all the time, every week, so we could have something, but it only happens once a semester. But be on the lookout for things like this or other things that we have. And I know, I'm trying to think, I think it's through philosophy or political science that they have another thing out in that happens downtown. The Python Slice. Be on the lookout for that. But again, thank you all for coming out, and I really appreciate you sharing your voices with us today. I loved it, loved the passion, and give that to others. That's all I'm saying. You know, you mentioned liberal arts and critical thinking. This is the most critical thinking you'll ever have in your life. All right. Thank you all.